get active if you want with the violence. I don't...
I started recording, so now that's the first thing on there. Matt has officially made a threat against me within seconds of the recording beginning.
What else is new?
Well,
I guess
now that you've asked...
I guess just the fact that you began recording before I made the threat this time.
Now that you've asked what's new, I'm Mitch.
And I'm Matt.
And we're the least fancy.
And are we sure we wanted to intro while we're just staring at this menu screen?
Yeah, it's only going to be up for like another minute. So we lost the commentary for this portion of gameplay. Fortunately, it's not the first time that's happened for our channel, so we know what to do, and it's this.
The last time was like a year and a half ago.
True.
So.
That's good for our track record, then. It means it's infrequent that we have these debilitating technical mishaps. We're not counting the attempt at BB tag from a couple weeks ago in that.
Oh god, that was just a absolute smorgasbord of ass hattery and technical bullshit. Like, apparently, even though this is a, regular old USB cable, I can see that both ends are clearly just fucking USB cables. If I plug it into a PS4 controller, it doesn't charge or connect or function at all.
Unless you hold it at exactly the right angle.
Oh, also, here, these three PS4 controllers, there's a reason they're all shit, and it's because none of them can hold a charge, and also you can't charge them anyway because all of the ports are like crap now.
Yeah.
So we have exactly one good PlayStation controller.
Yep.
And I did not even want to begin contemplating navigating the BB tag menu with a keyboard. Fuck.
We had to at first because we couldn't get the controllers working. And that was...
It put like half the directions underneath the taskbar at the bottom because it wouldn't just fucking full screen like a game should. It was like... God. Okay. Anyway, I suppose we're talking to this guy right now?
Yeah, we are talking to the sculptor. So, what we are doing during this next hour of gameplay that's going to be occurring, we're going to be fighting the guy in the well back in the Ashina Reservoir. That is the very next thing
the guy in the
that's
well.
going to occur. Yeah, and we were discussing that before this all occurred, so that's not spoiling the session. It's going to happen.
Okay.
This is all just housekeeping for now.
It is good to refresh me on this because I absolutely do not remember.
Right.
It all looks the same to me.
We are doing the commentary for this 3 months after the original recording of this episode.
Which maybe was a bad idea.
Yeah. But
who knows? Maybe there will be some entertainment value here somewhere.
Yeah, maybe if I had caught it sooner, then we could have done it with this being fresher on the mind, but as it stands, we have to be really careful not to spoil anything that happens after this, because this is still very early in the game.
Isn't this about midway? This is right before,
Don't say before. What is it after?
I just remember there's a midpoint.
Yeah.
And I think... this is before that boss, right? That boss.
I think so? Yeah.
Have a gift boss.
yeah, well
gift
before
of pain.
That. It is well before the generous fight.
I consider that the midpoint.
Okay.
I think. Because it's when shit starts to go down.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
So y'all will see what we mean in a few episodes. But for now, I think the last thing that we did in this is fight Lady Butterfly. We finally finished up Hirata Estate. We are, at this moment, debating where the well is. By which I mean we weren't sure about whether we were actually going to do the well or not before we eventually decided, yeah, let's do the well. Alright, we had gotten to the end of the gun fort. And there was a locked door there that required a gun fort shrine key.
Have we ever gone back there?
Yes. Yeah, we did, eventually.
Why do I feel like we've never finished the gun fort, then?
Because the gun fort was only the gun fort for that brief moment of time when we were fighting Snake Guy's Shirafuji or whatever it was. Damn it! Hold on. Gotta change my laptop settings so it doesn't
Could you
turn
also
off the display.
Could you also make the screen, the preview screen for the recording software just a tad bigger?
God, I wish that was easier to do.
It's not just a little, like, you mouse over the divider and pull it down.
It is that easy, but I can't, like, what I wish I could do was I never plugged in the laptop. Shit! That's why. Fuck!
I mean, look, since we're already missing audio for this, and also we know what the exciting bits are, we can feel free to, like, chop bits out of this.
I guess so. I'd like to avoid that if possible, though. Alright, when plugged in, PC goes to sleep after never.
After
screen.
never.
Turn off after never. There, and that should have saved. Yes. Good. Back to the thing. Still we're going? Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So
right, where is the divider? There it is. I can do that.
that works.
Yeah, but it completely removes our ability to see the audio.
It's a little bigger now.
We're always learning here on the Least Fancy.
Learn something new.
Wouldn't be true to the name if
Every
we didn't
day.
know what the hell we were doing.
This is, it's our default state of everything.
We
Which is gonna make me play a Toho game, and what do you think's gonna happen there?
I think that at least 2 points during that you're gonna ask me what the fuck. I think that's just what's gonna happen.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I am curious why you think it will only happen at 2 points, but...
Well, 2 that I can clearly identify. There might be others that I don't expect.
Oh, wait, but before we go do the guy in the well, you're going to make, like, a ton of attempts on this guy at the top of the hill, aren't you?
I thought I already did that, actually. I definitely remember editing that episode already. There was a full death montage against that guy.
Oh, fun.
I think we were still confused about how to get to the well, even though we had gotten to the well once before.
I don't think I was confused about how to get to the well, but you seem spatially challenged, so...
I think I am. There we go. Now we're going the right direction.
Yep. Is this our first time meeting this guy?
I don't... No, we're skipping through the text already. So, no, this is the guy that was,
We were checking to see.
He heard a sound coming from possibly the well.
Yeah, he hears a lot of sounds.
He's all about hearing things. He's all ears. Which I guess is better than being all hands. I don't know what I'm saying.
I don't know what you're doing. Why aren't you going to go drop on him from above?
Because I hadn't figured it out yet at that point, that there was an opening there.
Oh, okay.
Spoilers! We find that there's an opening above this guy and I can just drop on him. But yeah, no, the first time we fought this guy, we thought he was fully optional. And...
So I think now that you are in a fight, would be a great time for you to, like... Have you been practicing? Because, like, non-spoilers for our playthrough, we're like 1 session away from finishing the game.
Yeah, at the time of this commentary recording.
Maybe 2 max if we, like, have a really hard time with the final boss fight.
Right.
But
we are very definitely on the final boss now.
But I instructed Mitch to, like, be practicing at home, and I don't know whether he has been or not.
I have...
And I hope he has been. Because we discovered, like, that's at the end of the last session we did.
Yeah.
That Mitch apparently hadn't been reading enemy body language correctly.
Yep.
Like, for the entire game.
The entire game. That is not an exaggeration. So when...
And, like, I thought he was good at Souls games.
Hey! This is a fully new mechanic.
Apparently he never learned to read, like, actual tells or something by the silhouette of the body.
Okay,
anyway.
hold the fuck on. I have to defend myself here now. So, to explain to the viewers, because they were not party to that conversation, that red symbol that appears over your head whenever the enemy is about to do a critical hit, you're supposed to look at what the enemy is doing, determine what type of attack is coming, and dodge appropriately. That is the basis of the mechanic. We've been doing that all game. What Matt and I were doing differently as two different people observing the same thing is that he was looking at the enemy's weapon that they have, whereas I was looking at the movements of their body, meaning their, torso orientation and such. And what comes off of that is two completely different interpretations of what's about to happen, because as Matt had demonstrated to me before, physically, like a person, raising their sword over their head to attack, with like a downward slash, is a totally
different silhouette.
Silhouette from, well, it's a completely different type of attack than a thrust, but, the person pulling back their hand to do the thrust might look similar at a glance to them having their hand over their head. So me not looking at the weapon would lead to me reading moves incorrectly a lot.
Right, like he would be doing, I think, like, you do jumps for thrust attack. You'd be doing jumps for thrust attacks.
Yeah.
When there were grapples, you couldn't tell them apart from the sweeps.
Yeah.
And
that was really the big one. Sweeps and grapples looked the same to me a lot of the time.
And I had been trying not to comment on it because I thought I would just be an asshole, being an asshole, but apparently we were just reading enemies, like, completely differently. And so I always knew when an attack was a grapple and when it was, like, a slash or a thrust. And he was just having a really hard time with it, but I didn't want to be an asshole and say, why are you having such a hard time with this? It's so obvious what they're doing. You dick.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, for the whole gameplay, the whole playthrough, I had been not saying that because I didn't want to be an asshole. But apparently I should have said something because,
Right.
it would have led us to realizing what you needed to improve on.
I think the key is if you think there needs to be behavior correction, don't tell me about it while I'm in the middle of a fight, nor in the loading screen after the fight. On the way back to the fight is the right time to talk about it, because otherwise I'm still going to be emotional and angsty and have a dark and troubled past.
Mitch, you have the best dark and troubled past.
Do I? What is your favorite part of my dark and troubled past?
Specifically the part where your older brother burned down your entire village.
I don't remember that part. When did that happen? I mean, you're from the same village that I am, so...
I am the person who burned down your
I am your brother!
I don't know if you've seen that guy who
You were a Phillips all along.
I don't know if you've seen that guy on YouTube or Tumblr who does the What Your Ship Says About You videos.
I don't really watch those. It's kind of a one-trick pony.
But, that reminded me of Naruto.
Naruto. Oh,
actually, this guy reminds me of Naruto, too. This
whole
game, you know what? This whole game reminds me of Naruto, which I actually have never watched.
Really, Matt, a video game about ninjas reminds you of an anime about ninjas. Wow, that's thrilling commentary. I can tell why we have 24 fucking subscribers.
Everyone's just here to hear us bicker, frankly. So
I think so. Well, I mean, Tim was here to watch you die.
I mean, fair enough. That's entertaining too. But
Charles is here for actual game discussions, but I think he's barking up the wrong tree. So we don't do that nearly enough. We should. It would be nice to, but a lot of the time it's just like, maybe I don't want to talk about all the frustration I'm having, and I just want to, talk about Sexy Twister for a little bit.
When have we talked about Sexy Twister?
In Persona 5. It was during the buffet.
That's such a weird time to be discussing something like that.
Is there ever a right time to discuss Sexy Twister?
I mean, maybe during Sexy Twister, but...
Well, I mean, if you're...
Big oof. Okay. I don't think this is the run, is it?
No, I'm pretty sure...
Yeah.
We don't have the run for a few minutes.
That was attempt number 2.
Maybe 3, because I think we encountered that guy once before.
It wasn't that bad. I remember you getting with, just a little bit of difficulty.
On my other playthrough, I think I got this guy on the first try. It's just that when it's still new to me, it's rough. Like, my playthrough on my own console is going incredibly well. I don't remember exactly where I'm at right now because I haven't played it in a couple weeks, but there's no way that I'm going to catch up to where we are in any reasonable amount of time because, one, I have too much other stuff that I'm doing, and two, we had several, like, 5-hour-long gameplay sessions after this, so we got a lot of more content in a much shorter time. And I would like to ask you, you seem to have Sundays off more recently.
Yeah.
Did that actually manage to work out with work?
Well, I mean, yeah, basically. He's been giving me either Saturdays or Sundays. Always one of them. And I haven't had as many weeks where it's like 2 weekdays or something.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
It is. The only downside of...
It was a strange
basically, I just have... I really, really want a 9-to-5 Monday to Friday job just so badly. Because, you know...
that's what, like, the rest of our group has, aside from, like, Zach. So it's just hard to hang out with us when your schedule is so much different.
And it's hard to do all the things I want. So, like, on Saturdays, you know, if I have Saturdays off, cool. That means if there's a D&D game, I can attend. If I have Sundays off, cool. That means we can have a long recording session. What if I could do both? And my social calendar was, like, reasonable then. So then I can do all of the things I want to do.
Yep.
Because I have the weekend off.
Yeah.
The Ichimonji.
The Ichimonji is probably my favorite attack in the game.
It's just really good. The stat buffs it gives you are really nice. And I think you're about to win, aren't you? Oh no, you're gonna fuck up here.
I always do. I think I might actually win this one.
Oh, that was a good deflect.
Not that one.
Yep, oh no! Oh, thank God. Okay. I was like, are you seriously going to miss that red dot 2 whole times?
You're having all the same blood clots that you did 3 months ago, and it's fantastic.
Just have a stroke.
And then I turned away.
Can't make forward progress, Mitch. We gotta go backtrack now.
Yeah. Oh, because I was talking to this guy. Right, I wanted to see if he had anything new to say now that we had cleared that guy out, and the answer was no. Just keep going. And so, I kept going. The fog cleared. We're back at the start. We swim.
And they did walk. And they did swim.
And they did grapple. What are we referring to here? What is this reference?
Oh, I'm making a Monty Python reference.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched any Monty Python stuff in
Soon they were forced to eat Sir Robin's minstrels. And there was much rejoicing.
Alright. I barely remember that. God, when was it that you had me watch that? 'Cause
have you ever watched it?
I have. I know that I did in your basement. Many things have happened in your basement.
So many things.
Okay.
You boarded your baby in the basement.
I just... what? No, that was at school.
It was a balloon.
Yeah. It was at school, right? That we...
When would there have been balloons at school? I'm almost positive it was like several weeks or something after a birthday, and it was like one of those not deflated balloons, but it had lost enough helium that was just laying on the floor now.
Maybe you're right, but that was my child.
Okay.
You killed it. You murderer.
Oh man, now we're gonna bring up really fucking old memes, aren't we?
Yes, we're also going to bring up the abortion discussion that's going to keep us from having anyone care about us.
No, we're not. I refuse. Even I know when it's a bad time for a political discussion, Mitch.
I mean, on the bright side of that debate, both sides are pro-something.
Okay.
There's a silver lining.
Okay. I said we weren't getting into it. You're going further into it.
I'm not going into it at all. That statement means nothing.
Okay, then we're moving on to other old middle school memes, like you spilling the kit.
We can't talk about that.
We can absolutely talk about that. Okay.
Anyways, we're not talking about that.
Mitch is just like yelling at me silently.
I muted the mic so I could shout at Matt about how much we're not going to talk about that.
Fine.
I'm embarrassed. I don't want people to know.
Robotics Club was fun.
Far in the past. Far in the past.
What kind of... I don't even remember. We... It was robotics class, right? And
yeah, it was robotics class, but I don't think
what
we
was
did
the
anything
programming?
important.
What was the programming thing we did?
I don't even know. Like, we definitely programmed a robot to move and, like, operate a thing.
What I think I remember now, having taken actual programming courses after that, though, is that it wasn't even real programming.
It was like a visual designer.
Right. It was a program, but it was assembled via a app that had like pieces that you would put together like Legos, like the Lego robots we were building.
Yeah. And it didn't take any actual programming or scripting or anything like that. You just have a block that represents the move action. You drag that into the thing, and then you like connect it to
It's like a timeline thing.
Yeah.
It's like so you start the program, make it run, and then it just executes the command. So like, turn 90 degrees, move forward for X seconds.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Which, like, that's cool. But it was absolutely not like any of our later experiences with programming.
It was 9th grade.
Yeah. Was it 9th? I thought it was 8th. Did we know each other in 8th grade?
8th or 9th, yeah.
Must have been 9th. I think that was like the first class that we ever had together.
Oh, wait. Yeah, it was like the year before freshman year. So, whatever that one is. 8th, I think.
Yeah, that's 9th. Wait.
Isn't 9th freshman year? There is no 9th grade, is there?
Ninth. Just skip straight from 8th to 10th?
No, you go from 8th to freshman, right? I don't fucking remember anymore.
No, you're right. You're
last time I was in high school was
freshman is 9th grade. There we go.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The answer.
Okay,
because 9, 10, 11, 12, and you graduated. That's high school.
That's right. Okay.
I get confused with it because I watch too much anime.
Screamy boys.
Yeah, this is a really terrible boss fight. I actually... That's terror. It's terrifying terror. I think we gave this one a few attempts before giving up on it, but...
I think we ran out of divine confetti.
Like, definitely worth watching again just to see like all the different things it does. I did actually beat this guy on my other playthrough.
Did you?
Yeah.
Fuck, finally.
Supposedly having the anti-air death blow makes this fight way better, because he jumps up into the air a lot. And that thing just lets you jump and kill someone without having to actually deal any posture damage to them. So yeah! Oh boy. Alright, so that was that attack.
Juke.
I'm looking around all the corners for items, just in case there are any. And I think I cleared them all out.
I'm glad
and then I get smacked!
I'm glad you can explain what you're doing, because I certainly don't know. I think you're searching for a way out.
Yes, and that's
failing.
it.
There we go.
Yeah, so I was looking for items first and then to retreat because I lost my revive.
Hey, a pacifying agent. You should take that.
I hit OK on it, and I took it into my inventory. Do you think I actually used it?
No. I think you're going to die to...
I think I'm smart.
I think you're going to die to a terror bomb before you can get out of this area.
No, that's not what's going to happen. That's not what's going to happen. That can't happen. I'm safe. Look at how safe I am. Perfectly safe.
Oh,
in my defense,
man.
It wasn't a terror bomb.
Oh, okay. It was terror rays.
It was a terror pistol.
Terror bullets.
Terror bullets.
Turns out, if you die to terror... if they're terror bullets, you can die to both physical damage and terror.
Yes, and that's actually really bad. It's bad for health. But I also wish it wasn't like that, because it's hard enough to deal with the terror aspect, but then also having to keep your actual health up is just excessive. Come on, guys.
I mean, I know that the terror does less damage than regular attacks.
Yeah, well, generally speaking, yes.
It's all about that terror buildup.
All about that terror. So back on the subject of grades, I think part of why I get confused about it is because I watch too much anime and play too many anime games.
And they don't number the and they don't have words for the high school years. It's just 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, right?
They don't even go to year 12, I don't think. I don't even really know. I mean, remember, they have
freshmen through seniors.
They have 3 years of high school.
They have 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, well, what do they call it?
I don't remember.
It's not 9, 10...
All that matters is who is your senpai.
Oh my god. Really?
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they're in school for so much fucking longer than us.
Probably.
Just all the fucking time.
I mean, I think we pointed out that they get
they get 4 years of work done in 3 because their summer, quote unquote, is like 1 month long.
Yeah. I think 2 weeks.
And they go to school 6 days a fucking week.
Yep.
I can't even imagine that.
I mean, you did it in Persona, but it skipped over all the schooling.
I know, but like...
Yeah, can you imagine learning for...
I can't imagine having 1 day off in a week.
Oh, now I know why anime teachers are so pissy. Because they have to prepare all those lessons.
Yeah, I guess. I'm more like, the teachers also only have 1 day off a week.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's what primes people to be tolerant of that, like, overwork culture. It's like, well, I had to do 6 days a week in high school. I guess not having a weekend at my job is fine, too.
Right.
Because it's the real world.
It's just sort of an extension of the same idea.
Like, I guess there's, like, a kind of year-round school system.
Yeah.
Right? I wonder... Is that, like, nationally mandated?
I do not know that.
Or can a school choose to have a schedule like an American school system?
That's a good question.
Because I've never seen it depicted, because typically, even when an anime is set in a school, they tend to gloss over the actual schooling aspect and focus mainly on the, like, everything else, because it's just a setting.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense, though, because you don't... You already, as the demographic, go to school every single day, right?
You don't need them reminding you of how the mechanics work.
Right. You don't need more schooling in your free time, typically. I don't know, that's kind of a strange... That's maybe not an entirely true statement from the perspective of that society, because cram school is a thing.
Yeah.
Even with all that schooling, cram school's a thing.
Doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. I don't know how you could devote that much time to that. And
I mean, it's
like, do you need the cram school because you're just really bad? Because like that's the only reason I can think of.
I mean,
if you're in school 6 days a week,
maybe because they're overworked, so they need to, sort it out with more overwork. But
I don't know. In Persona, they just... I don't even think it really, like, glosses over the schooling thing. I think you should just be failing, typically. Because you do actually have, like, every moment of time is accounted for by the game. In the fact that you have an afternoon slot and an evening slot for doing things, and typically you're filling them with hanging out or doing stuff, but it's usually never homework. It's like assumed that you're doing it somewhere, right? But where? Where are you typing up your essays in the game? Unless you're doing, like there's studying, but that's not doing the assignments, right?
Maybe...
Shouldn't you be failing your classes in Persona? Because I never see them doing actual work.
I've never seen anything depict actual work, though, so, like, I don't know what homework is like in Japan in the first place, because you'll always see, like, they'll have homework over break, and they'll need to get their homework done by the end of the break, but not, like, on a nightly basis, or at least not as depicted in media, so...
This is now an interesting, like, thing to think about for me, because now I'm wondering, we see Japanese school depicted so often in media, but we still know almost nothing about it.
Right.
But there must be, like, assumptions that are there that are being made by the work that we're just not picking up on because we have no experience in the system ourselves, right?
Right, and it's probably the same way with, the other way around, too. Like, if someone watches Fairly Odd Parents being completely unfamiliar with American education systems, like, are they going to assume that a normal day in class involves some balding guy screaming about fairy godparents that may or may not exist?
Okay, well,
is that a normal thing? Is that what homeroom is like here?
Okay, I doubt that one. But
do we have homeroom?
Some places have homeroom. Middle school we had homeroom, didn't we?
I think
it was
so.
Like one of the periods.
I just don't remember what the point of it was.
I don't remember either. It was like an indoor recess, I think. Or
that sounds good.
Designated homework.
I wish I could remember it.
Designated homework doing time.
Oh, study hall. Yeah, you're right.
Study hall. There you go.
It was called the study hall because they don't like the concept of having fun during school hours.
What do you think makes more sense? Getting up and going to each individual classroom and the teacher stays put, or the teacher coming into each classroom to teach their class on a cycle?
I think they both make sense in their own contexts. Because there's an advantage each way. So I think we've briefly touched on this before. With the one where the teacher is the one that moves around, you don't get the opportunity for the teacher to just like set up a home base where they have like all their study materials in one place and all their
Props
resources
and
on the shelves and such. Yeah.
Like I remember teachers' rooms having a lot of personality.
Right. Like all the posters and stuff. Mr. Started with an H.
Holm?
Yep, Mr. Holm.
The most memorable teacher from high school.
His Metallica memorabilia.
He had Metallica memorabilia?
Yeah, dude, he was a huge Metallica fan.
I did not know
His
that.
His ringtone was a Metallica song.
Why were all the cool teachers, like, also for some fucking reason, the sports coaches? But they were still, like, good teachers? Like, I remember the,
I don't think I ever had a sports coach as a teacher.
I remember, Mr. Holm was a football coach.
Was he?
Yeah. And the guy who got me to finally understand algebra in sophomore year and get an A in a math class for the first time ever, he was, I think, like, he was the track coach or something.
Huh.
Like, he was a really good teacher, but, like, he was, why were all of those also sports team coaches? I don't get it.
I think part of it is just
like
that,
a pattern.
Like, I think it's that their interaction with the students is different on a base level. Like, if you think about it, having to interact with a football team means that in addition to, teaching them how to play the sport, you have to motivate them so that they want to continue playing it, get on the team and all that. Whereas a teacher that isn't involved in that stuff is more strictly on the curricular side of things. So maybe that's where the difference lies.
I just remember always getting the best, like, educations from the teachers who were also coaches for some reason. Maybe they just spent a lot more time figuring out how... Well, I mean, the point of being a coach is getting your players to perform well, right? Maybe they just had a lot more experience in doing that for kids, like, all of the fucking time because of being coaches, so when it came to classrooms...
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, they just knew how to motivate or, that kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's definitely more than just do you understand the thing, it's also do you want to understand the thing.
How can I help you better understand the thing?
Right. If it's just why don't you understand the thing, that's not going to make you want to come to school at all. So there is definitely that motivational aspect to it. I don't think I've ever thought about, like, which teachers I learned most from or learned best with.
Really?
Yeah, that's just not a thought that's crossed my mind.
You never had, like, a favorite teacher?
I've had favorite teachers, but more along the lines of just getting along well with them.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was a grade A student for pretty much all the time except for middle school, so I never had...
Mitch, look at me.
Yeah. I'm definitely bragging on that. I will not deny that that is a bragging point.
I think we've been in this room for, like...
ages.
15, like, forever.
It just is a room that feels like it takes a while because all the enemies are two enemies.
Oh, that's true.
They all resurrect.
All the enemies are two enemies. That is a great point.
But, so it's not... Because of that, though, I never thought about, like, who helped me understand things. I will say that after a certain point in schooling, I just stopped, having an easy time learning things because I fell into that rut of, hey, you're smart, you know this thing. You don't need to learn more, you already know the things. And so it was the point of never learning how to study. How to learn new things.
I mean, I had that for certain things as well. Like, I don't think I ever picked up the history textbook or read back over my notes or, like, ever did anything other than listen to the teacher in that class. And I remember me and Charles in Mr. Holmes' history class were competing for who would get the higher A. So,
God. Okay, so you're not innocent either.
We both had like 102% because he was generous with the extra credit, and Charles won. Oh no, he lost, but he lost in the most braggish way possible, in that he got up to 106% with extra credit, and then didn't take the final.
That's how Charles does things.
Only 10, because the final was only 10% of the grade.
Yep,
so he dropped 10% and went to a 96.
I mean, he's told me about that approach before. It works for him. He works his ass off until like the very end of class, and then he just stops caring when he has the guaranteed A.
It's just like, I mean, I won, did I?
Right.
And I think that's what he's trying to get at. He's like, yeah, I mean, like, you got the higher grade.
No, you can have it.
But you had to take the final to get the higher grade. If we both had decided not to take the final, I would have won. So.
Right. Oh, man, that's... I've never had that competition with anyone. That level of competition.
We've never had a class like that ever in the history of our lives again.
It's true. That's true. I mean, there was my physics teacher in college was actually kind of generous with extra credit, but I wasn't competing against anyone there. None of you guys were in any of my college classes because I went to fuck off DeVry.
Fuck off DeVry? Is that your feelings about them?
It's like an hour away from here. They don't even offer the major that I had anymore. Game and simulation programming is not even at that campus anymore.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, they got rid of it. I think DeVry might have gotten rid of it overall. I don't know if the Naperville one still has it. So, and then, of course, there's a lawsuit with DeVry, class action lawsuit that they...
Getting in on that? Getting the $550?
I got 2 checks from that, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because apparently they had leftovers after the first round, and they just sent me another one earlier this year.
Okay.
I was like, all right, sure. But, like...
I've gotten some cash from class action lawsuits before, and it's always been like, here's $2.
Right.
It was like,
but
thanks.
In this case, it was actually, like, pretty big, and I guess not a lot of people cared to collect the money, so I got a solid few hundred out of it.
Oh, all right.
Paid off my car early with that.
Nice.
That was...
What did they do?
Fudged the numbers on their graduation rates and career placement rates. So basically, the actual numbers for where
it's a lot lower
people
than
ending up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the chances of getting a job in your field when you graduate, they claimed was like 96% or something like that. And,
that's bogus.
Hey, guess what? I'm not in that field that I studied for. I'm doing programming, but not game programming, and that's what the course was for, so that might also be part of why they dropped GSP.
Oh, doggo.
Yep, I was trying to save myself from the combat by going back to the idol, and it didn't really work out.
Oh, because you can't interact.
Yep, while actively in a fight. If you run away from the fight, you can, but they were still on me because fast dogs. And then I had to deal with this bell gargoyle.
So, like, apparently we're now exiting the way you were supposed to enter this area the whole time. And then we get out of here, I think, and you're going to be really disoriented.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the entrance to the abandoned dungeon. I just barely dodged that.
No, how? My
reflexes aren't that good.
Wait a minute. No, yeah, there's no way with that last slam that he missed. I saw the models collide, and it still somehow let you
Iframes.
get out of it.
Iframes and hitboxes, baby.
There are, like, no iframes on the sidestep, though.
There are. It's just, like, one frame.
You hit that one frame totally perfect.
When you hit that one frame just right. This sequence of attacks annoyed me the first time I came across it. It was not cool at all. Because it just keeps going, and if you mess up even once in terms of tempo or positioning, it just grabs you,
paddling.
and you get banged in the bell. Oof. Yeah, this guy's kind of a jerk. I see now that he does have the little armor plate in front of him.
Ah, for the spear.
For the spear, yeah, which we had already gotten from this area, I believe. Or was that locked last time?
No, I remember you got it, but like, frankly, I don't
never
think you
use it.
ever. You don't use a lot of the tools.
You're correct. I don't.
You're very much a fundamentals player.
Yes, which in this case is probably not a good thing.
I mean, they did include the system in the game for a reason.
Of course, but I always felt like the prosthetic tools were supposed to be more of like a answers to specific situations kind of thing, rather than just using them all the time. And part of the reason why I thought that was because of the Spirit Emblems resource. You have limited things that you can do with a limited amount of Spirit Emblems on you at any given time. I didn't know that the Spirit Emblems you actually get from enemies all the time when you kill them, so it's not actually that bad.
Yeah, it's like a mana bar, but they didn't represent it as mana. They just represented it as like a concrete number instead of like a little blue bar with the numbers abstracted.
Yeah, and that's a good way of putting it. It's kind of similar to how they did magic in Dark Souls 1, because each spell would have a certain number of uses before you'd have to rest at a bonfire to regenerate them. And
did you ever get them back from enemies, though?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, so that's the difference here. And that's probably why I had that misconception here, is because I'm not used to magic systems that regenerate on enemy death. Like, obviously it's not every enemy, but it's enough that it's worth using the system more than I did in this playthrough.
Well, it's also so and the upgrades that we've been getting throughout the playthrough for the various prosthetic tools only really make sense if you're using them fairly often in like regular ass combat.
Yeah, otherwise it's not even worth the money.
Like the very first one for most of them is turning it from a single thing to an AoE thing. Like the axe spins and then it does an AoE around you, or or the firecrackers instead of the forward arc do in every direction. Yeah.
Yep.
And those are all the first upgrades for every item, and they only make sense if you're using them like in standard everyday fights where you're outnumbered, right?
Yeah.
Which might also have been why, like, you have always, like, when there's multiple enemies, like the overlapping attacks that that all Dark Souls games have issues with. You know, what does Bloodborne do? Well, Bloodborne gets around it in that you have a transforming weapon with sweep attacks. You hit multiple things. They have a gun for staggers, iframes on the stabs, just like in this game. Honestly, this is actually very similar to Bloodborne in that respect, in that it's a much more action-y take on the Dark Souls genre.
I mean, personally, I just prefer if they'd encounter design that actually synergized with the game mechanics, but, maybe that's wishful thinking.
Well, it does. It just challenges you in a different way. It's
True.
like, oh, well, all these attacks are overlapping. I need to do something about that. So
you get the upgrades that allow you to do something about that.
Exactly. So, okay, I'll Firecracker at the right time, and, it'll stagger all three of these assholes, and then I'll just whack them all.
If anyone's wondering why we're just running around here, I'm trying to get my bearings on where we are, and where we need to go next, where we haven't been.
Okay, so the other bonfire is right over there.
Bonfire.
Yes, bonfire.
Those don't exist. There's no fire in this game.
There's also one up there on the bridge.
Yep. And I was trying to figure out, is there someplace in here that we haven't been? Is there another path that we haven't gone down?
There's not.
There.
This is the bridge that we went under at the beginning of the game, as a matter of fact, to get to the secret area where we fought in the beautiful flower field.
Yes.
And got our arm chopped off.
It's okay, that's fine, though. We don't have to stop drumming for Def Leppard.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, I actually got that reference.
Hey, you did! Wow!
Literally, all I know is that he lost his arm. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, that's really all that matters. As far as, like, things that differentiate him from a normal-ass drummer. But, yeah, so that was one of the many times in this game that we have discovered that we went the wrong way and somehow wound up on the right path.
Amazingly.
We keep having problems with that.
We're going back to the... Why are we going back to the well?
Because we got the gatehouse key, which will get me into
this
the gatehouse here, which will...
As soon as you go there.
We will find a little piece of treasure in there that will be somewhat important. Maybe.
Really?
I've used the piece of treasure that we find in here.
I don't remember what we find in here.
Oh, well. That's very ironic because we were just talking about it.
Oh, is it the spear? Oh, it's a big chest.
There is a big chest. And within that big chest lies a big heart. Christmas is here to stay.
The Grinch's heart.
So yeah, this is the
horn?
Yobu's broken horn. It is the upgrade thing that lets us acquire the spear.
Broken horn. It's like what? What? A horn?
I don't know. I don't know why that's what they decided on.
Horn is in like a musical instrument, or horn is in like an animal horn?
I don't know, and it's not really clear from the picture, at least from the distances that we've been seeing this at, because it wasn't clear to me when we were recording in the first place, and it's not clear to me now because the screen is much smaller while we're doing this commentary.
Whoops.
There's not really a way around that, though. We can't overdub stuff on your PS4 setup.
Yeah.
Unless you have some way of plugging an HDMI into your projection screen television that doesn't have any of its HDMI ports accessible.
Where are you porting to? Oh, we're just porting back to the shrine, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because we pretty much cleared out the reservoir then. I think we still have a place in the abandoned dungeon.
Deep in the abandoned dungeon. You have to jump down the hole.
Yeah, I don't think we do that in this episode, though. I think that's next session. So look forward to that, people.
We're not done yet.
I know, but they can still look forward to it.
We're not outroing yet.
I know. There's still like another 10 minutes to go. You guys ready? You guys want 10 more minutes of us fucking around and trying to figure out where we're supposed to be going now that we've cleared out every path that we know?
I mean, not every path.
Not every path.
There's a path in the dungeon, like we just said. Actually, did you just port back there again?
I think so.
What did you even do? What did you even do at the shrine?
I think I just was trying to figure out what we were doing, where to go, how to get there. I definitely have problems with orientation in this game.
That's why I advocated for this at the, I think, very early on in the series, and I'm going to advocate for it again. These games should have, even if, like, it doesn't need waypoints, it doesn't need, like, it doesn't need a map, but can it please just have a fucking journal? Right. So I can keep track of who has asked me to do things and what those things were. Yeah. Because once that's done, if I set down the controller and walk away for a week and come back, I'm not going to remember. Okay? Please just put a journal in your fucking games, FromSoft.
And I actually do want to back that up now. I still don't think it's strictly necessary, but I see the argument for it.
It's a quality of life improvement.
Yes.
You're right. It's not necessary, but if you care about the story, like, it's really helpful.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually just playing Dark Souls 3 yesterday, and went back to like the beginning of the game, did some stuff. And I was reading a guide online as well to try and like plan my route through the game for this run. Mm-hmm. And what I found was actually that 2 of the NPCs whose quest lines I thought I knew, one of them had an entire alternate path, another one had extra steps that I didn't know I could get, and there was a third NPC that I had never met that someone had mentioned online, and I have no idea who they are or how you get them to show up. Their name is like 4 letters long, but it's like, how is all of this there, and I just don't know, even though I've beaten the game multiple times.
There's a certain amount of that obscurity that's fun, that makes it mysterious.
Yeah.
But the internet still exists, and so then when you go on the internet and you find out, oh, I missed all of this stuff, it's kind of like, okay, well now how do I go about...
Right. And I do actually want to talk a little bit about the things that I discovered yesterday while I was playing.
Ooh.
So one of them, this is all Dark Souls 3 related, not Sekiro related.
Is this anything that I have encountered when I played through?
You will have encountered one of these people. So do you remember Henri of Astora? The guy that you meet on your way into the...
the one normal asshole.
Path of Least Resistance, or whatever it's called.
The one
Road of Sacrifices.
Yeah.
Yeah, the normal guy. Who you
guy.
end up marrying with your sword at the end.
Still doesn't make sense.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So, he is the one who has an entire alternate path.
Okay.
I didn't look at what the specifics are of it, but basically you can resolve his questline in a completely different way, and then everything that happens with Yuria of Londor, who shows up when Yoel, the guy in the corner, dies, just doesn't even happen. It doesn't happen. You instead go on with like Henri and Horace, and you get just an entirely different thing where he shows up on Orlando, and you fight Aldrich with Henri.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but only if you take that path down his quest line. If you take the hollowing path, you don't get that at all.
How do you avoid the hollowing path?
Because
whenever you die, you get more hollowed, right?
Well,
you
right, but the thing specifically there is you need to reach maximum hollowing and do some steps to help him when he is in... not on Orlando, but the place before it, Irithyll. He shows up in Irithyll at one of the bonfires, and you can talk with him there. And there's like a hidden enemy in a corner that's like disguised as a statue or something like that, and you can attack and kill it, and that takes you down one path. But if you don't, you go down the other path. I don't know why that is. I don't know what the difference is and why the designers made it that way, but essentially, yeah, you could just take this other path by doing... It branches like at that point in Irithyll.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, it's less dependent on your hollowing and more like, have you taken these specific actions to go in this route instead? And I would love to actually do that sometime, maybe in this run-through even, and find out what all differs. Like, how does he treat you when he's, on his way to Aldrich rather than on his way to the Death Steeple?
The Death Steeple.
The other NPC that I was looking at is Grey Rat. The thief that you rescue very early in the game from a jail cell.
He disappeared from my playthrough and never showed back up again.
Yes, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, what happened?
So you can... After you give him Loretta's bone, he, sobs about his lost love for a little bit.
Yeah.
You can send him out on a mission.
Which I did.
And
I don't think he ever came back.
He will later come back and have more stock in his inventory. You do that a couple times, and I think the third time, either the second or third time, he will die. And when I did this, he died in Irithyll, and I found where his corpse was, in fact, and I picked up his ashes from there. I was able to bring it back to the Shrine Handmaiden.
Did she gain his inventory then?
I don't think so, but I don't remember exactly what it was.
Well, because ashes normally open up new inventory for her.
Yeah, so there was more inventory. I don't remember if it was what he sold or if it was like a new set of things. I think there were some new thief items, actually. But essentially, his quest line apparently intersects with the quests of 2 other NPCs. Sigurd the guy that you fight.
Onion Knight?
Yeah, Onion Knight. And Patches, who
No clue.
in the Cathedral of the Deep, he disguises himself as Onion Knight and
Oh,
pushes you off
wait
a
a minute.
ledge.
That's right. Asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
I only think I ever had one interaction with him in the whole game.
Yeah, so those two characters have their quest lines intersect in the first place because there's a time when Sigurd is trapped in a well and needs you to find his armor, because that makes sense, and like Patches has his armor or something like that, so you can buy his armor from Patches and give it to Sigurd. I think that's how that quest goes, at least. I'm only going off of what I've read because I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But apparently, at some point in those NPCs' stuff, when you send Greyrat out in Irithyll, you can inform Patches or Sigurd, I believe, that he is there, and one of them will go there with him, and he will not die. Instead, you'll be able to send him out on a third mission in which he is guaranteed to die, but I don't remember what area that's for.
So he survives the second one only to die in the third one.
Right, but that's a whole step that I had no idea about. And it involves NPC quests that I had no idea about. There's so many weird, convoluted, I'm going to say intersections again, of these little subplot lines that are just impossible to know about without having read them or just stumbling onto them because you happen to do things in a certain order.
I think that the journal could... I mean, like, they can be just as vague as they normally are.
Yeah. But
like,
we just need the reminder.
We just need the knowledge that there is a possibility, right?
Yeah.
You know, even just, like, sending, like I sent Greyrat on this mission. It seems dangerous. Like, I don't know. That could be the line in the journal, right? And, like, the last time you did it, it didn't have that line, right? And so that could be a tip-off to the player. Oh, maybe I should go look for him in the world.
I will say, though, if they do that, please be a little more specific about the journal's quests than Octopath Traveler is. Because
Octopath Traveler?
Yeah, that game's journal tells you basically nothing about any of the quest objectives.
Oh, I hate that when it's like it's flavorful and stuff, but then it doesn't give you a reminder of what the quest objectives are.
Like, it might tell you someone's name, but not their location.
Oh my god!
If you want to talk to them about the quest, anyway, we are done.
Oh, we are.
We've been talking so feverishly this whole time that we didn't even notice that we're done with the session. So we're just gonna wrap things up right now. I'm Activision.
I'm From Software.
And with Elise Fancy.
Have Sekiro.